Good afternoon. This is the strategic review of Amgen. This is Section 8, Team 22. I'm Stephen Briggs, and the adjoining team members are Morgan Jones, Stacy McBride, Colin Reed, and Chase Vanek. A little bit about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Amgen overall, a little bit about the external environment surrounding Amgen and the industry environment as a whole, a little bit about the competitive analysis of Amgen, some key issues surrounding Amgen, recommendations of those key issues, and an implementation plan of those recommendations. Is a biopharmaceutical company currently traded on the New York Stock Exchange under the NASDAQ symbol AMGN for Amgen. The CEO, Robert Brady, has been with the company as CEO from 2012 to current. And Amgen is a biopharmaceutical company that competes with a lot of biotechnology companies, and it targets medicines to fight complex diseases such as cancer, cardiovascular disease, osteoporosis, asthma, and rheumatoid arthritis. Currently, the Amgen employs approximately 24,000 people and operates in 100 plus markets worldwide. It was founded in 1980 and its headquarters are in Thousand Oaks, California. A little bit about the external environment surrounding Amgen. It's influenced by technology, the economy, demographics in the areas of operation, politics, and social and cultural issues within those markets that it services. Technology developments by its competitors. Amgen tries to mimic its competitors' technologies. Technology's impact on product offering. There's always new technology coming to the biopharmaceutical arena that causes a lot of these companies to really boost their R&D efforts to be competitive. The cost structure surrounding the biotechnology industry, as technology progresses, Amgen specifically needs to assess the value that it can bring to the market with each of the products that it produces. In the areas that it operates and service, labor and costs, and productivity in the countries of operation. It requires a skilled workforce, with somewhat inexpensive labor to be cost competitive within the industry. Where it services patients, where there's more discretionary income available, patients seek more treatment. I think that's kind of a given across the industry as a whole. And unemployment rate really affects the industry as a whole. The availability of a workforce and patients' ability to afford treatment, are directly affected by the unemployment rate. With no jobs, there's less money. Just the inflation rate, that affects input costs and the demand for workers' wages. I think we've all are aware of what inflation rate can do for input costs and what that cause is on workers' wages. As the interest rate has gone up dramatically over the last few years, the availability of capital is it's dependent upon the interest rate, and as the interest rate increases, investors, they're less likely to want to see risky ventures. The age of population within the markets that Amgen and its competitors serve determine a lot about which products are sold in certain areas. So the population served also has a issue with which products are served in certain areas. Low income areas, they're good candidates for less expensive biosimilars, which both Amgen and its competitors have. Moving forward, The health professionals within the areas that service patients, they need to be specialized to be able to serve the patients. And that is something, in certain areas that is tough to come across. The skilled workforce, in areas of operation, they need to be educated, and that can really help to reduce the training costs and error rates, which can result in litigation down the road if they're not skilled. The skill level of the patients, that's very important, because there's some of these drugs that are offered that the patients need to really understand the intricacies of how they are administered to themselves or to a family member or a loved one. Some of the other external environment issues are political and legal. One of the big issues is patents and copyright laws. Patents play a vital role in the biotech industry. Each company has certain proprietary information that is very suitable for the products that it offers. There's health and safety laws, and AMGN needs to act with strict manufacturing and testing regulations to make sure that it is keeping up with those regulations. There's employment laws differently around the world, and AMGN and its competitors, risk the violation of those labor laws, employing thousands of staff around different markets throughout the world. And data protection is a big issue, both from proprietary information and patient information. There needs to be a strong protection from outside threats seeking that proprietary information. Moving forward, with the social and cultural aspect of things, AMGN, it needs to be proactive versus reactive with its patients. Proactive cultures tend to be healthier than reactive cultures, seeking out the cure instead of looking for a cure. The education level of the workforce that is able to be employed, a more educated population can lead to better innovation. I think that makes sense, hands down. An entrepreneurial spirit of the workforce available, more entrepreneurialism leads to better innovation. The skill level of the population, that can lead to a more effective workforce. A little bit about the industry as a whole. There's a lot to do with the bargaining power of buyers, wholesalers, manufacturers, pharmacy, benefit managers, insurers, suppliers, threat of new entrants. This is an interesting deal. There's a low threat because there are high entry barriers, because this is a very financially extensive and intensive area. But there's always new innovation from companies lurking for the next best deal. And AMGN does have the ability to absorb, some of the smaller innovative companies. There are some threats to substitute products from its competitors, generic brands, which we call biosimilars, automatic substitution. Pharmacists, automatically replace biologic with more traditional medicine. And there's a lot of interchangeability with FDA-approved drugs that can have the same, clinical effect. And there's a lot of inter-firm rivalry, patent laws between companies, therapeutical profile, there's cost leadership, and there's a reputation from each of the companies involved. A little bit on the competitive analysis. AMGN itself has three major competitors: Janssen Pharmaceuticals, which is owned by Johnson & Johnson, AbbVie, and Novartis. And these are the three main competitors for AMGN. The key issue that AMGN has is revenue growth. There's pricing, there's competitor pricing from its competitors on similar drugs, and there's always biosimilars entering the market, generics. There's government regulation both domestically and abroad in the countries that, or markets that AMGN it's associated in. There's compliance with both the FDA and foreign government regulations, and Amgen needs to avoid litigation and be proactive and not reactive to regulations. I mean, all those things can help protect revenue instead of defeat it. Patent expiration, Amgen has approximately 25,000 patents. And there needs to be a continual process to ensure the patents are applied for and extended where appropriate. On to the recommendations. Amgen needs to focus on R&D. They just opened a state-of-the-art research facility in October of 2022, and this has helped to speed up drug innovation, testing and approval to provide quick accessibility to patients. Reduction in drug development timeline. This is huge. It used to be 12 to 14 years. Now it's down to 9 to 11. So that is a dramatic decrease in development timeline, and it's continually going to increase. The goal here is to balance the speed of development while still meeting the regulations that are being applied and patient safety. On to the second recommendation. Amgen needs to focus on mergers and acquisitions. Multiple forward-focused mergers and acquisitions. This would help to boost operations as a whole. It broadens the portfolio by accessing competitor innovative research, and by gaining mergers and acquisitions, it helps to increase Amgen's market share. And on to the third recommendation. Amgen needs to focus on patient protection and longevity. Continually accessing the expiration dates and using a patent thicket methodology. And for those of you that don't know what a patent thicket methodology is, that is pretty much making sure that many patents overlap the same technology. Amgen needs to stay first in the international patent law requirements. These are always changing throughout the world, so it needs something that needs to pay attention to. Recognizing the patent timeline, they need to average 2 or 3 years or longer if opposition occurs, and imposing a life cycle management over the patent strategy as a whole. To implement this strategy, increase the speed of innovation. Each year, produce one innovation applicable to all the drug development that can reduce development timeline by a minimum of 6 months. The lab that we were talking about a couple of slides ago is exactly what this is talking about, increasing the speed of innovation. Make meaningful acquisitions. The R&D, A&D, each year, acquire at least one late stage or commercialized company, a product that already generates revenue. This helps to take somebody out of the market, and you're also creating revenue for what you already have. Develop a patent thicket for every product. The patent thicket strategy is already proved to be fruitful for one of Amgen's biggest drugs, Enbrel. Products in development have an opportunity to build patentable science and technology into the products, and keeping patents in mind is a strategy during development. These are all huge for the implementation to help bring more revenue to Amgen. We'd like to thank you for your time today, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to Team 22. Thank you. Have a good day.